Hello and welcome back to our Batman the Animated Series episodes commentary. And today's episode is a very interesting one called House and Garden, featuring Poisin Ivy back as the main villain. So, as usual, let's do our countdown so we can watch this episode together. If you have your DVD box set or Blu-ray box set or streaming service with Batman the Animated Series, let's go in 3, 2, 1. Give it a play. So the first Warner Bros. Logo is on the screen. Now the second one. And yes, House and Garden. So we have our return of the villain Poisin Ivy. This is a episode about her. And probably it is my favorite episode with Poisin Ivy in this show. Previously, we had in the first season, the Pretty Poison one that presented her in the show, a good episode. And then we had the one that I won't remember the name now, but is the one that she has this company of with a spa that takes the rich people of Gotham that somehow caused some harm to the nature and the forest, and they put all these rich people in the spa, and there she she does some experiments with them, and yeah, that was an okay episode, pretty forgettable. But this one is very cool because it features a or apparent recovery of the villain. She seems to be reformed after her years in prison in Arkham Asylum. And she's back into society, and she's, trying to have a normal life with a house, a husband, and kids. But obviously things are not so clean as they look. And the episode starts with this monster climbing a huge building and entering a floor of this building and breaking into a vault for some reason. And this monster attacks a guy that works in the building. And then we go to Commissioner Gordon and analyzing some substance that was left in the crime scene. And apparently this crime scene is apparently this substance has a poisonous toxin. And the only person that both Batman and Commissioner know that her main characteristic is to deal with toxins and poisons is Poisin Ivy. But then Commissioner Gordon breaks the news to Batman that she is reformed and back into society. So in the next day, they go visit Poisin Ivy in her new house, and she's living in this suburban neighborhood with a husband and some kids, and and apparently she's married to this doctor, and they have this pleasant conversation in the living room. It's very funny to see Batman in a living room having a conversation. But anyway, apparently Ivy or Pamela Isley, she looks very normal, and she even looks regretful of all the bad things that she has done in the past. The funny thing about this episode is that it takes place, or at least in the chronology of episodes, it takes place right after my favorite one that I commented last week called Trial. And in that episode, Poisin Ivy, she was in Arkham, right? Or she was one of the inmates that worked, or at least that was in the riots inside the prison when they kidnapped Batman and all that stuff. So this episode must take place years after trial, right? It could only be because by logic she would have to spend much more time in Arkham before actually being released into society. So it's a funny thing that these episodes I mean, they are connected in the chronology, but you know, both stories by logic must be very separate, or in terms of timeline, they must be very far from each other. Because if Poison Ivy was one of the main villains to cause the riots in the prison, her sentence would be probably increased, right? So anyway, then we see Dick Grayson. He's part of this episode. Robin, he's in the college and he has a girl in his room. So yeah, he's gonna be okay this night. He's gonna he's gonna be fine, right? And they even get close to each other, about to kiss, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and you know, Batman ruins everything for Dick as usual. And the girl the girl gets angry and leaves the bedroom, and slams the door, and Batman apologizes in the other end of the line. But anyway, so yeah, Dick Grayson apparently is a womanizer in the lore of Batman, because he always has some girl in his arm. He later in the series he has a relationship with Barbara Gordon, which is only fair. And then later on, he in an episode with Catwoman in the fourth season, you know he fancies her, and she gets they both have a thing, right? In that episode as well. So he is a womanizer, or a guy who you know girls seem to like. But anyway, after he hang up the phone, the monster that we saw before, the huge plant monster, he breaks into the room and kidnaps Robin. And yeah, this somehow has a relation with the previous attack on the building, because it was committed by the same monster. So Bruce goes to the college, and the police is there, and somehow he starts to link things in his mind. And then he gets into his car, and while he's driving on the road, the monster shows up in his car, and surrenders him. And this monster, he talks, right? He's a big, huge monster, but he talks, and he demands money from Bruce Wayne in order to release Dick Grayson. And then he jumps off the car, which is very funny. Uh, Bruce, he breaks the car on the road, and then he looks for the monster, but he disappeared into the night. So all these attacks have a relation, and now Bruce is the main target of this ransom. Mm. So Batman, or Bruce Wayne, he puts the money in a briefcase, and he's going to deliver the money for this monster. Um, Meanwhile, he also uh, spies on the house of Poison Ivy and follows the day, her day, uh, as a housewife. So he sees her driving the kids to school, leaving the husband behind, and he sees her in a street market buying some fruits because somehow Bruce cannot take the idea from his mind that the attacker, the monster, uh, plant monster, and poison are not somehow related. So he spies on her to see if there's any connection. And apparently, by her routine, she's, just doing normal stuff or being a normal housewife. He then goes to the greenhouse in her house and again spies on her. And he does some acrobatics jumping from the greenhouse to the roof of the house, and he sees Poison Ivy or Pamela Isley arriving home and bringing the kids back from school now. And some plants or some tree branches start to move and grab Batman. And I love this scene because the tree branches, they bring Batman upside down towards Pamela, and they have again another conversation in which she assures him that she is a reformed woman and she would never ruin what she has in here. This new life this new clean life that she has. And when Batman, decides to go away, she says to him, "Good luck," and he replies, "You too, Miss Carlyle," and Miss Carlyle because it's her married name. Then we see Batman all dressed up as almost like a detective going to the docks where he was supposed to deliver the money to the monster to get Dick Grayson back, and the monster shows Dick all tied up and blindfolded, and the Bruce slides the briefcase to him, and then the monster finally reveals itself for the first time in the episode, and it is this huge Bane-like monster, in terms of size, with these huge claws in his hands, and they both start to fight. And his claws are poisonous. So Bruce falls from the dock and falls into the water, and the monster believes that Batman or Bruce Wayne, should I say, is actually dead. Of course, this is just a disguise for Bruce to become Batman, turn into Batman, right? Um, by the way, let me just say the animation in this episode is fabulous, right? I mean, very well animated. This one, the movements of the characters and the lines of the animation is absolutely incredible. I loved it, and I think it makes sense because later we're gonna see some very uh, well developed animation in this story towards the end by some transformations that we see in some characters. But anyway, so Batman he jumps off the water and now turned into Batman in a jet ski, which is I think the first time we see Batman in a jet ski, and it's very short, right? We see him jumping and fighting the monster for a bit, but we don't see much more of that. I would love to see more of the jet ski. Batman in a jet ski is just so cool, And but anyway, he saves Dick, and then both Batman and Robin, they move away in the Batmobile, and they talk about the situation with Pamela Isley, which Batman still believes that she has something to do with all of this. And Robin, he says that he knows Dr. Carlyle. He is I think, a professor in his college, and he tells Batman that the names of the kids, which I forgot now, but they are names that could be both for boys or girls. I think it's Chris and something like that. But he says to Batman that Dr. Carlisle's kids, that he is indeed a father, but he is father of two girls and not two boys, which immediately confirms to Batman that something is wrong. So he, breaks the Batmobile in the road and just returns to go straight to the house of Pamela Isley. And when they arrive there, they walk into the greenhouse and they start to investigate the whole place again and to see what this woman has been keeping a secret inside the place. And obviously they find this trapdoor on the floor that leads to the subterranean of the greenhouse, where they will find some very bizarre secrets, including some new experiments that Poisin Ivy has been doing. And in there, they find this tank of liquid. And inside the liquid, they find the real Dr. Carlisle. And he is being kept by Pamela Isley in this situation, because she's probably using his DNA to create a family for her. And then Batman walks into this tank with many plants and flowers, and he also finds a cocoon with a baby inside, a baby being born from this cocoon, actually many babies. And this is when Dr. Carlisle, he says that he was her doctor of Pamela Isley in Arkham Asylum, and she convinced him that she wanted to be reformed. And this is when we see all the flowers from Poisin Ivy attacking the place and wrapping Batman, Robin, and Dr. Carlisle. And she arrives almost like in a throne of flowers in the place as Poisin Ivy, the villain. And of course, she is indeed evil, as she always were in the lore. She has never been reformed, indeed. And she says that she's using the DNA of Dr. Carlisle to create a family for her. Yeah, this is a very interesting episode because it has a lot of body horror. This whole section of the episode with the cocoons and the babies, they, all these elements are almost like a Cronenberg movie, right? Director of The Fly and many other great movies. And here we have these, what I most like about this episode, this body horror element. In fact, these babies, they are clones of Dr. Carlisle, and they, once they achieve a certain age, they become the monsters that we saw in the beginning, the huge green monsters of plants. And eventually they also die and melt. So yeah, the babies that were just produced in the cocoons, they rapidly grow and become the monsters. And this is where we had the fights inside the place. And it's a very funny, the faces of these monsters are very funny, right? I cannot say that they are scary, in fact, but anyway. So a huge fight starts in the place, and with the monsters and Batman and Robin. So yeah, this is a cool episode. I really like it, and I think it's I like the villain Poisin Ivy. She's not one of my favorites. I already did a top 20 or something about my favorite villains of the lore of Batman, but she is one of my, she's definitely one that I really like, and I really like this kind of stories that mess with DNA and monsters and plants and all these, like here the body horror that is so interesting. Um, I like this kind of stories with Poison Ivy. Uh, and of course, I also like her partnership with Harley Quinn, which we already saw an episode uh, with both of them together. This is another episode featuring Poison Ivy, where they became partners, right? And this is another episode that, in this show, it's very interesting that we have many episodes with villains reformed. So we see, like here we see Ivy reformed, but we have already seen the Penguin reformed. We're going to see an episode with Harley Quinn reformed, which is one of my favorites in the show later on in this season. And we also see the Riddler reformed. So, many villains in the show. We have these episodes which they are reformed, but in some way, these stories always play with the fact that things are never as clean cut as they seem, right? And these villains are always keeping some kind of secret or something that Batman has to deal with. So in the end of the episode, we see here that Poison Ivy, she was not real as well. She was a plant, or her. It was not the real Pamela Isley, and she melted during the fight with Batman. And she also revealed that she was actually sad for things to end up this way. And we see in the end of the episode Pamela Isley in the plane running away, and she keeps an album of photographs with her and Harley and Harvey Dent in a picture, and her picture with the family. So she's indeed, very sad and depressed about the fact that things end up this way. So indeed, she wanted a family. It was not a lie from the start. So this is a very interesting idea as well. Anyway, this is the end of the episode. Thank you so much. If you are liking the content of BATGUS, please don't forget to leave a like in this video and your wonderful subscription so we can keep talking about Batman and DC Universe forever, all right? See you in the next Bat video, and bye-bye.